Welcome to the new American Culture Exchange podcast, where we dive into the great American game. I'm your host, Glenn Venture Smith. Do you know what the exchange is? Do you know the rules of the exchange? If you don't, then you've been played. Our mission: to harness the power of Web 3 and the unstoppable spirit of hip-hop, to create a decentralized ecosystem that puts solutions in the hands of solutionist artists. Together, we'll solve real problems, fund community-driven initiatives, and empower neighborhoods to build enterprises that construct systemic change and foster generational wealth. This is not just a podcast. It's a cultural renaissance engineered for systemic transformation. Welcome back to the new American Culture Exchange podcast, where we explore how Web 3 is rewiring the great American game, digital capitalism. I'm your host, Glenn Venture Smith, the Solutionist. Today, we're diving into rule number 4, the skill equation. In a world of bias and overlooked talent, what is it? And how is it changing the way we measure creativity, talent, and impact? Let's get into it. I want to start this episode with a quote. It is likely that unlikely things should happen. Aristotle. Aristotle reminds us that unlikely things happen all the time, but bias makes them even less likely. The new American Culture Exchange and Web 3 are here to change that. We're here to make sure the unlikely is not just possible, but inevitable. What do Web 3, Steph Curry, and hip-hop have in common? They were all told they didn't fit the mold, that they were too small, unconventional, or radical. But they didn't listen. They rewrote the rules. In doing so, they changed the game forever.
That's fascinating. And what really strikes me is how these seemingly unrelated disruptions in tech, sports, and music all follow this same pattern of being completely written off at first.
Well, let's start with the underdog narrative. Web 3, Steph Curry, and hip-hop are three worlds that couldn't seem more different. When blockchain and cryptocurrencies first emerged, the traditional financial world dismissed them as an internet fantasy. But the innovators of Web 3 didn't listen. They rewrote the skill equation by creating a new paradigm for ownership, collaboration, and empowerment.
Take Steph Curry. When he was coming out of college, scouts said he was too small, too weak, and too unconventional to succeed in the NBA. They gave him less than 1% chance of becoming a superstar. So, he focused on his strengths, his shooting, his creativity, his work ethics, and he changed the game of basketball forever.
Oh, wow! Less than 1%? That's exactly the same odds people gave to hip-hop surviving as a genre when it emerged from the Bronx in the 1970s as a grassroots movement. People dismissed it as a passing fad, something that would never last. But hip-hop didn't listen as well. It turned struggle into art, and art into a billion-dollar global empire.
So, what's the lesson here? Are you saying that when we challenge bias, embrace innovation, and measure skill by impact, we can create a world where everyone has a fair shot? And that these weren't just success stories, they were complete transformations of their respective fields.
Exactly. And the new American Culture Exchange and Web 3 are committed to this transformation. Again, let's look at hip-hop. It didn't just succeed within the existing music industry framework. It created its own ecosystem, its business models, and its own culture. And now, it's a global force that influences everything from fashion to politics.
Well, that connects to what's happening with Web3 and the new American culture exchange. It's not just creating new technologies, it's reimagining how we think about collaboration and value creation.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And here's the key thing about the skill equation. It's showing us how our traditional metrics for measuring talent and potential are fundamentally flawed. When scouts looked at Curry, they were using an outdated formula. And that's where we, the new American Culture Exchange and Web3, come in to bring a 21st century formula for generational wealth building strategies. Connect with us at nace.com and disrupt hiphop.com.
You know what's wild? These biases aren't just unfair, they're actually terrible for innovation and business growth.
That's such a crucial point. Like, imagine if those early hip-hop pioneers had listened to the critics who said it would never work. We would have lost not just the music, but this entire cultural revolution that's generated billions in economic value.
And now, we're seeing similar resistance to Web3 innovations, but the pattern suggests we cannot underestimate its potential impact, just like we did with hip-hop and players like Curry.
You know what's exciting about this moment? We're starting to understand these patterns of disruption better. When we look at how hip-hop created new economic opportunities, or how Curry changed basketball's fundamentals, we can apply those lessons to building Web3 systems as well.
That's really powerful when you think about it. We're not just talking about individual success stories, but about creating entirely new possibilities for whole communities.
Exactly. And that's what the skill equation is really about. Creating systems that can recognize and nurture talent in all its forms, not just the ones that fit our pre-existing models. When we do that, we're not just being fair, we're actually driving innovation.
Well, looking ahead, what do you think this means for the future of innovation and talent recognition?
Here's what I think is most crucial. History shows us that the most revolutionary changes often come from the places and people we least expect. We, at the new American Culture Exchange with Web3, are not just creating opportunities for individuals, we're expanding what's possible for everyone who can see the vision. If you can and you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe at nace.com and disrupt hiphop.com so you don't miss our next episode, where we'll dive into rule number 5, the influencer equation. Welcome to the new American Culture Exchange podcast, where we dive into the great American game. I'm your host, Glenn Venture Smith. Do you know what the exchange is? Do you know the rules of the exchange? If you don't, then you've been played. Our mission: to harness the power of Web3 and the unstoppable spirit of hip-hop. to create a decentralized ecosystem that puts solutions in the hands of solutionist artists. Together, we'll solve real problems, fund community-driven initiatives, and empower neighborhoods to build enterprises that construct systemic change and foster generational wealth. This is not just a podcast. It's a cultural renaissance engineered for systemic transformation.